British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, James Ngo, and these are your 3:30 news headlines. In the span of 2 days, BC Ferries had 2 people go overboard their vessels. These incidents were not related, and both individuals did not know each other. Our reporter, Isabella Verdon, has more on this strange story.
BC Ferries had 2 separate overboard incidents in the span of 2 days. Both individuals survived and are recovering with minor injuries in the hospital. There is an ongoing investigation into both cases and what transpired. Our reporter Isabella Vertone spoke to Sonia Lau, the Senior Communications Advisor for BC Ferries, to get a sense of the feelings surrounding the event.
Well, we always will do a debrief after every major event such as this, just to go over what happened, see if there are any ways we could do things better. So a debrief is always part of these types of incidents.
After rare events such as these, the public will be curious to know why these overboards happened and so closely together. We hope to hear the results of the BC Ferries investigation soon, assuring the safety of future passengers. Isabella Vertone, BCIT News.
RCMP have arrested 3 individuals that are believed to have assisted in the prison escape of murder convict Rahib Al-Khalil. Al-Khalil was serving time for murder in a Port Coquitlam prison when he escaped in July of 2022. Edward Ayoub, John Potvin, and Ryan Van Gool have all been arrested in connection to the crime. Al-Khalil had an extensive criminal record, which includes murders in both Toronto and Vancouver. He has been listed as one of Canada's most wanted fugitives. The Alberta government says it's going to fight a legal challenge aimed at scrapping its school pronoun law. Justice Minister Mickey Amory's press secretary released a statement today saying the province will vigorously defend its position in court. The statement says the legislation was introduced to strengthen ties between parents and their children's education, providing more transparency, clarity, and consistency. 2 LGBTQ+ groups officially filed a court challenge against the school pronoun law last week, asking the court to declare them unconstitutional. The law came into effect just this school year, requiring children under 16 to have parental consent to change their names or pronouns. A judge has granted the release of Romana Didulo, the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, at a bail hearing in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Judge Alan Jacobson imposed a number of conditions on Didulo, including that she stay at a Regina residence around the clock unless granted permission to leave by a probation officer. The 50-year-old is charged with breaching a court order and attempting to intimidate a justice system participant. She was one of 16 people arrested last week at a compound in the village of Richmond, west of Regina. Didulo and some of her Kingdom of Canada followers, who have promoted various conspiracy theories, set up the compound at the property in 2023. There are demands for improved cellular coverage in the wake of last week's mass stabbing on a Manitoba First Nation. Hollow Water First Nation does not have cell service, and residents rely on alternatives such as Wi-Fi calling. Grand Chief Jerry Daniels of the Southern Chiefs Organization says cell coverage is needed there.
I don't know why there's a delay. I mean, and obviously this example of emergency services, that should just be a no-brainer. I mean, we have to have connection to emergency services.
An 18-year-old woman was killed and several other people were hospitalized after last Thursday's attack. A new poll suggests 44% of Canadians want to see the temporary foreign workers program scrapped as the country grapples with high unemployment. The new Abacus data poll suggests that support for eliminating the program is higher among younger age cohorts. 48% of those between 18 and 29 years old, as well as 50% between those 30 to 44 years old, have said that they want the program to come to an end. Support for ending the program is highest in the Prairie provinces and lowest in Quebec and Atlantic Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney last week ruled out scrapping the program, adding that it's part of a broader immigration policy review. Prime Minister Mark Carney has also announced that $80 million will be accessible to small and medium businesses in the Maritimes. The $80 million will come from Canada's $1 billion tariff relief fund. Carney says that the government will make sure the relief response is funded properly.
What the government is going to do, what we're in the process for the next budget, is focusing on reducing waste, reducing unnecessary federal spending, reducing the duplication in federal spending, becoming more efficient in federal spending so that we have the room, we have the force to support our businesses so they can invest for the future.
Carney adds that Canada's relationship with the U.S. is changing, and the country can't rely on its most important trading partner the way it once could. Officials in Charlotte, North Carolina are under fire after footage of a Ukrainian woman being killed on a Charlotte light rail train was released. 23-year-old Irina Zarutska took a Charlotte light rail train on August 22nd when she was suddenly stabbed multiple times and killed by another passenger. The suspect had a long history of criminal charges and psychiatric crises, and many are wondering why he was allowed to roam the streets freely. The attack has emerged as a flashpoint over how cities are dealing with violent crime. An immigration attorney says many South Korean workers detained in a U.S. immigration raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia were brought in for highly specialized work that Americans aren't trained to perform. Atlanta attorney Charles Kuck represents 4 South Koreans who were among the 475 workers rounded up in the raid last week west of Savannah. They included 300 Korean nationals, and most had come for short-term jobs installing equipment for producing electric vehicle batteries. The detentions have caused confusion, shock, and a sense of betrayal among many people in South Korea, a key U.S. ally. A freight train in Mexico slammed into a bus Monday morning, leaving at least 8 people dead. Authorities say that the train collided with a double-decker bus in Atlanta, northwest of Mexico City. 8 people have been killed and another 45 have been injured. Mexico's Civil Defense Agency says that authorities were still working on the site, which is an industrial area. French legislators have ousted France's top prime minister in a confidence vote. François Bayrou was appointed as prime minister last December by French President Emmanuel Macron. François Bayrou believed that lawmakers would support his view of France needing to cut public spending. Instead, lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to kick Bayrou out of office, with a 364 to 194 vote against him. Macron is now in a tough position, needing to find his 4th prime minister in 12 months. For our forecast today, it's actually a pretty decent day. Temperatures hit today's expected high of 20 degrees and will continue until 7 p.m. when the sun starts to set. Partial clouds will form throughout the night and into tomorrow, when a slight drizzle is expected in the morning. That's all the news for now, but hold on, we still got some sports headlines to cover. The Seattle Mariners begin a 3-game series at home against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Mariners are coming off a series win against Atlanta on the road, a series in which they scored a combined 28 runs in their 2 wins. Brian Wu gets the start for Seattle, while Miles Mikolas starts for the Cardinals. Seattle sits just 1.5 games in front of their division foes, the Texas Rangers, for the final wildcard spot in the American League. After a confrontation with manager Jesse Marsh, Team Canada midfielder Ismail Kone is set to start tomorrow in Canada's match against Wales. The 23-year-old was visibly frustrated after being subbed out of the match against Romania on Friday. Kone says that his actions were out of disappointment and frustration, and said that it will not be repeated.
But, I feel like as a man and, as a player playing a team, this is something I shouldn't do right in that moment, whatever my reason may be. I spoke with my teammates, I spoke with my coach and the coaching staff also. They know how much I appreciate them, and this is something that was just out of frustration. I made sure to them that it would never happen again.
Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh defends his players after a fan altercation in Baltimore's season opener. After quarterback Lamar Jackson threw a touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins in the third quarter of Baltimore's 41-40 loss to the Bills on Sunday night, several Ravens were celebrating behind the corner of the end zone. A fan then reached out and gave Hopkins a little shove to the helmet, then did the same to Jackson, who pushed him back with 2 hands to the chest. Jackson said afterward he let his emotions get the better of him, but Harbaugh said it was understandable. The fan was ejected by stadium security and has been banned indefinitely. Speaking of football, we got one last game in the Week 1 schedule tonight. The Vikings travel to Chicago to take on the division rival Chicago Bears. After going 14-3 with Sam Darnold under center last season, the Vikings are starting second-year quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who is making his NFL debut after missing all of last season due to injuries. On the opposing sideline, this will be the first game for new Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson, who spent the last few seasons as an offensive coordinator for the division rival Detroit Lions. Kickoff is scheduled for tonight at 5:15. Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime has jumped to number 13 on the world tennis rankings after an amazing run at the U.S. Open. The 25-year-old jumps up 14 positions from his previously ranked 25th spot. Auger-Aliassime had an outstanding run at the U.S. Open, making a grand semifinal for the first time since 2021. His path included wins against several opponents ranked better than him, including the then third-ranked Alexander Zverev. Ultimately, his journey was ended after losing in 4 sets to the then number 1 ranked player, Jannik Sinner.
Jannik Sinner will take his rightful place in another U.S. Open final. It'll be Sinner versus Alcaraz one more time on Sunday.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening. Once again, I'm James Go, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
I would recommend this program for anyone that isn't sure what kind of job they want in media, because you learn everything from like public relations to communications to video editing, like radio, TV. So you do get a lot of experience in all the different fields in media.